crematorium in Colchester says it could have to increase its fees because not enough people are dying. They would usually expect to be busy at this time of year, but they say better quality domestic heating has lowered the seasonal death rate.
Set within a 63-acre cemetery, Colchester Crematorium serves a population of around 200,000 people. But due to a drop in the death rate, its finances are now stretched. The council says its budget has a shortfall of around £200,000.
Less people are dying, and I think that's due probably to winter fuel payments, the investment in the health service, and the response to the swine flu pandemics. Because with a hard winter that we've had and the swine flu pandemic, you'd expect death rate perhaps to go up. It hasn't, and I think that's due to investment from the government.
And it's not just the council who have noticed the decline. At Hannibal Funeral Directors, the number of funerals has also dropped, partly, they say, due to an overall decrease in the death rate year on year.
This area, it seems to be between sort of 4 and 5%. Our company's experienced about a 1.5% decline in the number of funerals that we've done this year. But that's against, as I say, about a 4% decline in the area.
The lack of revenue at the crematorium and cemetery means fees will rise. Staff there say normally in the new year they'd see a sharp increase in numbers. Even with the cold weather this year, they haven't.
We have had to give some very careful and serious consideration to our ongoing expenditure, and to that end we have had to reprioritise some of the works that we're doing on the grounds maintenance programme, and also some of the repairs that we would like to carry out to some of the roads and the pathways around the crematorium and the cemetery.
Last year, the cemetery won a Green Flag Parks Award. Despite the drop in finances, staff say they'll do everything they can to maintain its high standard. And on the flip side, it's good news people are living longer. Felicity Simper, BBC Look East, Colchester.
The Old Bailey has given a Chinese herbal doctor from Essex a conditional discharge. Ying Susan Wu, seen here in the dark coat, pleaded guilty to selling prescription medicines without authorisation and selling a banned substance. The 48-year-old sold the tablets from her shop in Chelmsford, which has since closed. Norfolk County Council has begun legal action against the government's plan to grant Norwich City Council unitary status. The county would have to hand over many of its services to the city, including schools and libraries, if the plan goes ahead.
A woman who runs her own secretarial business has become the target of a phone scam which tries to charge for advertisements which don't exist. Karen Plain, who lives in Norwich, says the bogus company keeps asking for money, but she hasn't paid up.
Good morning, your admin, Karen speaking.
Karen Plain runs her own secretarial business from home. 3 weeks ago, she took a call from a firm trying to send her legal information. She gave a name and address, and that's when the trouble started. More calls demanding £150 for an advert. They've been on the phone 10 times since then.
Rude, not very polite. As soon as you start to question anything they say, they get quite pushy with you, quite demanding. They won't let you speak to a manager, they won't tell you their name or the company name. Just generally very pushy and, you know, quite a tough phone call.
They insist she verbally agreed to the advert but refused to send any details, only once she's paid. They've also started calling her husband's mobile. All the numbers are untraceable. A website set up to monitor fraud like this has seen a 50% rise in hits in recent months.
If you haven't been scammed yet, but you do come across a call, somebody calls you in and asks you about advertising and you are concerned about the call, ask them a lot of questions in return, because what I find is the more questions you ask, the more probing you are, the more likely they are just to hang up the call.
Karen Plain won't pay up despite the inconvenience. But pester power means that some people probably do, and that's why the scammers carry on. Ian Barmer, BBC Look East, Norwich.
Broomfield Hospital in Chelmsford is closed to visitors for the third week in a row to stop the spread of the norovirus. One ward is still closed to new admissions. Patients who are not affected by the virus are being asked to attend their appointments. At the Brit Awards, Aston Marigold from Peterborough, who's in the band JLS, won 2 awards last night, but there was disappointment for Pixie Lott from Brentwood, seen here during a recent visit to her old school. She missed out on 3 awards for Best British Female Solo Artist, Breakthrough and Single.
Pictures from a Norfolk aerial photographer have highlighted the way wind farms can create their own so-called microclimate. Mike Page has been focusing on the Scroby Sands wind farm off the coast of Great Yarmouth.
He's been taking a bird's-eye view of the region for more than 20 years from his single-engine Cessna aircraft. Mike Page has built up a huge video record of the Suffolk and Norfolk coast in all its glory. Towns, villages, beaches and cliffs, charting every inch of the shoreline from Felixstowe round to Hunstanton. Since they were commissioned 6 years ago, he's held a particular fascination for the 30 turbines at Scroby Sands.
The weather conditions over Scroby seem to change depending on temperatures, obviously depending on the sea temperature and the air temperature, but you seem to get clouds forming and fogs forming around the actual turbines. I've wondered over the years what this has been caused by. Is it weather related? Is it causing its own microclimate? I seem to think that the turbines rotating are causing their own weather climate by stirring the air up when it's at different temperatures.
Meteorologists say any large structure, from a tower block to a cathedral spire, will affect wind patterns, but the impact on climate is distinctly local. The East Coast is set to become the UK's leader in offshore wind power, with development stretching from the Wash down to the Thames estuary. The £1.3 billion Greater Gabbard project off the Suffolk coast will see 140 turbines, supplying enough electricity for every home in the county. They may well create their own microclimates, but the experts assure us they won't affect the region's weather. Kim Riley, BBC Look East, Norfolk.
You're watching Look East from the BBC. Coming up, no jaw.